Oh my god. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness beside him. Now what's going on here, eh? I've always had this me. It's a birthmark. A birthmark? I don't think a birthmark is like a bruise. Especially that large. A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason we call this stand has been explained to you. Hey, someone about an inspector again? But I'm telling you, you got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all knowledge of it? Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me all this nonsense there? Well, at least you have more stories to put back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. DeRosio and Mr. DeRosi, I'm sure you cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice? We are in a bigger trouble, eh, couple? That's quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was simply not this man. It's right, see, you think we gotta forget those grand lips, huh? I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I'm not interested in a red-headed league. I'm all alone in this world, me. I have no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Just look at carry off a disguise with a face like this? Maybe you put something on your lips to disguise yourself. How would that explain, like, I don't know, like, I think a disguise is being used, so that would explain the bruise on his neck. What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony. That's right, just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I come by his police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yes, it's hard to explain, but... A brief cross-examination, I think, also very brief. Is there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Miss Naruhodo. Thank you, Susato. The inspector and identification revisited.
Hold it!
So, you heard of the Redhead League, had you? You don't get a name like gossip for nothing, it's my business to know what's going on in town. I sold the tasty tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, they even got a sandwich to cop up for it. Well, he does have a very red nose if that counts. Who knows? But as you can see, my own hair has not got a hand in red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me siding off some other part of town. No, sir. Not likely. Pursue? Mr. DeRoso. Oi, can I help you? Did Mr. Goss's words just lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day I was looking for a place near the park, a small house or something. To be the headquarters of a Redhead League, yes. I visited a housing agent in Live Street and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip with a housing agent? Oi. He has the kind of contract in his hand as they were clearly discussing terms. But no, you're mistaken, chum. I never let Fresno Street me, like I said before. You're mistaken with someone else, someone with the same face. No, the couple's right, I remember that too. He was paying them out with the banknotes. With notes? Like I said, that wasn't me. I was curious why this man with dirty goose has such a money. So I looked at the name on the papers. Well, name was written Mr. Gossip? No, this is a man he lies. He tells you that he has a name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, huh? It's better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see? No! I'm a peddler of tidbits of information on Fresno Street, and that's that. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life. Indeed. It's not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The information name shall be redacted from all... redacted? Court corrected such Charles. Do we no objections? Hugh Boone was the name of the freaking apartment, though. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious, do you similarly object, Prosecutor Sogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Well, I never. In what capacity? Hugh Boone, the name of the leaseholder of the room. Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, alright. I suppose that might be the case, eh? So your real name is Hugh Boone. Well, just so you know, I don't like to blow me own trumpet, but just a fine peddler tip is in town. So hey, I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room of falling down backstreet townhouse. You do? And once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent on Live Street. Hey, I remember now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time. Eh? If either of us is vulgar, it's not a me. Think again, Peppino. Why didn't she bring this up before? It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about personal life. I'm a typical peddler as far as everyone is concerned, no fuss. You will update your testimony to include the most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone. If I must. So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since his body was discovered. Has been under our noses all along. No, I don't live there. What do you think? Just a bed? Is there just a desk? With the picture on it, then why would you want to rent it? Well, I don't think I should have to say really. Then how about the notice board in there? Or the photograph, which is covered in top button, confidential documents only police should have had access to. No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. Why would he bring it all the way over there? It's only the other bits and bobs that belongs to me. The desk and the chair and that, and the photograph. People don't generally carry large notice boards with them. The real question is, why was Inspector Gresson killed there in your room? Well, obviously, I'm not the faintest idea. I mean, it's costing me no end to bother, to be honest. It seems to me that Mr. Gossip, sorry, Mr. Boone, would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way, and more importantly, knowing that the scene of his crime was actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now. That's how I'm finally gonna undo this man. Okay, I think I should have presented the photograph in this statement. Objection. If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why is that amount of sparse furnishings you found this photograph in the room? I presume, as you've been renting your room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not? Oh, well... Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are. I don't know what do you mean I'm a peddler? I keep telling you so. Are you Mr. Dally? You really don't need to bother me. Please, just leave it alone. As the man says. Leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life has no bearing on this case. It does, Kazuma. Because simply not possible impersonating Inspector Gregson. How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features. Objection. But what if we're looking at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yes, Constable, what do you mean? Well, just don't deny Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Good witness! Are you still hiding the truth from this court? If that's his disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be Mr. Dally! Yes, that's right. There's really only one person it could really be. My lord, the defense believes it could reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to court. No, please, no. Very well done, counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of Gossip on the street? Mr. Dally! Take that! Take that! Your real name. It's actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Virgil? Mr. Daily Vigil. Yeah, I don't recall the name, Castle. Who is this Mr. Vigil? It's the name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentleman came to the detective asking to locate her missing husband. The woman is photographed, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector is found dead. But of course, on that night, you're being held captive by the two red-headed league men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial, because you've been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Standish are all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why you not only have been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry, waiting for you at the Vigil residence. Now, just you hold what I'm talking about? Really? It's a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise. No, please. Mallet, bring soap, a sponge, and a washbowl at once. Mr. DeRosio and Mr. DeRosio will restrain the witness. Oi, my lord. See, my lord. Lord! No, stop! Get off! Don't! Damn. Oh. Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume. Okay, just got changed. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court, have you seen this man before? I don't believe it, but... See! There is no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park. Extraordinary! On the day of the red-headed inspection, the man claiming Inspector Gresson appeared before Mr. DeRosel and Mr. DeRosie in the park. Was you, disguised as inspector, or rather, was you posing as inspector in no disguise at all? Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison. The chief warder? Then you carry our promise. Why? You would quite possibly become the future governor of the prison. Why on earth? What on earth have you been doing? Peddling tittle-tattle on Pleasant Street. Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years. I'm really dreadfully sorry about all this. Yes, it's true. I'm Daily Vigil. And you were the chief warder at Parkgate Prison 10 years ago? So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. Is the name I invented. Well, evidently there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. Oh boy, here comes the bad story. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times are hard in London. I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation, one day, I turned my hand to selling wares on Pleasant Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you're chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was literally determined my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I've never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Pleasant Street, the scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler, and transfer myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. But that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons, and without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappointment. I don't think you're a disappointment. You've been living as a peddler for 10 years to support your family. So I don't think you're a disappointment. So instead, he decided to conceal our occupation from them. Yes. I made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you can sell to past gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece. You couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison. Very true. To get your family comfort, despite 10 years of some misbegotten employment. That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. What? Yeah, I think he was working in Gregson at the time. It was some years after the event of Voon and began my older life as a street seller. He, the inspector that is, recognized me one day. Do you mean to say the victim's acquaintance of yours? I think they worked together at the crime scenes. I knew him from my time working at the prison. Oh gosh, I really just love the drawings of this series. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. And from that day forward, he visited me at Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I could carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? He always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit Orsi's tomorrow and take a statement for appropriators. It was always something along those lines, surveillance work, interviewing people, on those occasions. He would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for the services, he compensated me financially. A schoolyard inspector willingly relinquished his identification to your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need not to point out, is a very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I could say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, right? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker. Oh, Inspector Gregson, I already miss him. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared us would be Inspector Gregson's park on line here was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my boon disguise, and then went as instructed to the park, armed with the Inspector Gregson identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Well, it was seen that this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of these 2 red-headed league men where they were imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector in the park that day, it was me. Oh goodness. Finally, you have clarity. We had nothing to do with this murder, Inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Defense, for proving it. What? Arrgh! I feel like we're getting more closer to truth still. Order, order, order! Indeed, it appeared I have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses have no involvement in the murder of the victim. as proven somewhat ironically by the defense. I hereby call an end to this cross-examination.
Hold it!
Sholmes? Oh, Kazuma? Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? What question, counsel? It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? The execution of Professor Genshin Asogi. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh, answer me, man. One moment, counsel, this is related to the current case. Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Does the defense concur, counsel? Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Poor Kazuma-sama, no wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memory of what happened 10 years ago will tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know, I do understand it, but even so... Prosecutor Asogi. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. Very well, then the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little at that time. You've forgotten? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some particular reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Did you get drugged or something? Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Well, 10 years is a long time, but to have forgotten the reason why you left such an important job, yes, you're right. And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what you already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing, it's broken all too easily, which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection. Sorry, the human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface, and when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't... Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it, because the truth does not stay buried. It's coming out one way or another. Right, now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps I would point out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier. It might cause some crucial memories to return to him, but should I? Should I present the evidence or not? Alright, I'm doing it. I want to know the truth. I'm sorry, Daily. I have no idea how this is going to go. But this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. This is for the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. Dismissal notice! You helped Genshin Asogi get out the freaking gallows. Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of his prison staff employer's employment. A dismissal notice? And the name of the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? What? It's mine? So you didn't resign for prison service at all. For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's dismissal mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense. Oh no. Isn't it? If you were forced to be dismissed, that must have been a good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. I don't feel great about this. According to a few remaining documents, the final execution I supervised was the 17th June 10 years ago, and on that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison. The 17th of June? Was that the professor's execution? Professor. As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life? In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that explain what happened on 17th June 10 years ago, and now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Yes, the whole prison. It was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? Oh, order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories have returned? My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who seen a ghost. Yes, an oak shrubber. But surely those reports are exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Logate Cemetery, at plot number 139. Blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible happened there. The depths of conspiracy depravity which his tales emerged is quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records in time extensively. A thorough investigation is conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a number of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that prison warden abetted the man's bid for freedom? Oh no. Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using the man's murderous execution as a way to help him escape. He did what? I remember now the horror of all this coming. Okay, seeing this is making me go. Stop spinning around, please. Oh my god. I'm sorry, Days. It's a bit serious business, but I kind of help, you know. As chief warder, you're responsible for overseeing the execution before it. Well, since the fellows decided I want to have a few wee words with you about it. You better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in prison. Okay, seeing this is making me dizzy. The professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape. I finished my life. It's over. What? Did you... Order, order! Bow, fetch a doctor at once! Oh my god! Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect! Oh my god.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse,
So, Mr. Vigil's... Oh, okay.
to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
Oops, I didn't mean to take that picture. I just meant to like turn the autoplay up. Yeah, to be continued. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching part 25 and 26 of The Great Ace Attorney 2. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time on Tuesday? Yeah. Bye. Thank you so much for watching.